Hello, everybody. This is the Spectrum Sanctorum. Black Panther 2 World of Wakanda came out, and it is now 1 week later. I'm Brandon Lou, joined by Joe, Dove, Rick, Billy, and special guest from the Bird's Eye View, Chris Fury. How you doing today?
What's going on, everybody? It's your man up north, the man on the wall, Chris Fury. What's going on?
Oh, I'm feeling good. Thank you for joining us today. We all feeling good, guys?
We are, man. Super
Yeah.
pumped for this.
Anytime I can
All
talk
right.
about this kind of stuff, I'm always.
I'm very excited too. I think everybody's just a little shocked because we're rushing right into it. So can we get this synopsis started? So we can go ahead. Hit me with that sexy bumper. Just giving me a little bit of power. All right. It is the world of Wakanda, people. This is the sequel to Black Panther. Super successful. Lots of money made. And we are looking at, in the wake of King T'Challa's death, the United States, France, the entire world is looking to see how they can take advantage of this situation. Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje are looking to protect their nation. But there's another threat, because as everybody is looking for a way in to get their hands on some of that delicious vibranium, that rare and precious metal, they have awakened a threat in Namor. Namor. They call him Kukutao. Namor. With that said, we have our big confrontation between the Wakandans and the Atlantans, for like I shouldn't say Atlantans because that's not what they're called there, but and we have Shuri, our technology based, not so spiritual princess in Wakanda, has to come to terms with not only the death of her brother, but also not just struggling to move on, but it's really a spiritual. The Black Panther role as chief, there's a lot of weight that goes on top of that, and Shuri has to overcome all of her internal conflict as the science-based person to accept this spiritual role. And so it's not just a religious role, it's not just a political role, but it's just a lot of weight that Shuri just seems to want to move past. All of this is going on between Namor and Shuri, kind of our protagonist and antagonist coming together. And there's gonna be a lot of spoilers, by the way. Man, I should have gave that spoiler warning. It's a week later.
If you haven't seen it now, where you at?
Yeah. So that said, since I just went through the whole synopsis of everything, and there's still so much to discuss, gentlemen, I'm gonna start with Chris. I'm moving past all you guys. Chris, what did you think?
What did I think? I'm going for another viewing this weekend, but I'm giving it a solid 9 out of 10. And I know why. But I love the introduction of Namor. I was very much looking forward to Shuri stepping up into the role because I'm a fan of the comics. She's done the exact same thing. That's not her role now in the comics, but obviously, shout out to Ryan Coogler, the cast and crew, for just gracefully putting forward something and addressing it, because that opening scene was very much the mirror image of what a lot of fans actually felt upon hearing Chadwick's passing. So to address that in the film in such a way and still be respectful and do it with such grace, it was chef's kiss. I applaud him. That entire cast and crew had a lot of weight on their shoulders, and they bared the weight with the strength of the Panther. I have They really did. They really did their job, man. I gave it great kudos. I couldn't from the wardrobe down to the acting. It was amazing.
I heard that. Joe, I feel like you
Yo.
had some mixed feelings. I know you had some issue with the length. Tell me how you're feeling. Be honest with me. I promise I won't be mad.
No. I did enjoy the film.
Hold on. How come the moment I asked how you're feeling, you started fading out? You're very blurry right now.
He's gone.
I'm here. There we go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tell you, these cameras. No, I really enjoyed the film. It's just I felt that they could have wrapped up a lot of things and edited out a lot, and we still would have got a fantastic movie. I really, really hated the fact that they killed the Queen, Angela Bassett. I was angry. I was like, no. So that really got to me. So I was like, no, not her. You don't kill her. Kill somebody else. You know, they have plenty of other people to pick from. And they went with her. And I was like, really, of all people, that was probably my main gripe with the writing, because I am such a big Angela Bassett fan, from, Tina Turner's story to some of the movies that are totally
Were you watching Waiting to Exhale?
I saw Waiting to Exhale. I'm a young man. I saw that. I saw.
It's Angela Bassett. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Come on, man. Stella got a groove back.
Every time she was on screen, you're just like, I don't care. I've seen her in some bad films, and I'm just like, but it's Angela Bassett, so she made it better.
Exactly. And I really enjoyed how they handled Namora in this world. I felt like they had a really cool parallel between the Wakandans and the Takalians, right? Takalonians, right?
Yeah, sure.
Takalians. Yeah, they did a really dope parallel, because we're both having to deal with invaders that basically tried to colonize our places. And, you felt it the way they handled it in this film, which was really cool. But they could have wrapped it up a lot faster, and I would have really enjoyed it, because my butt was sore.
We're gonna talk about that in a bit. We absolutely will. Rick, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, look, as we know, this was Phase 4's last movie, and there was a lot of pressure for a lot of obvious reasons. And let's just face it, Phase 4 has not been a very successful Phase 4. It's been a bit of a letdown for a lot of fans. Okay, not saying all of the movies. There were some, Shang-Chi was great, Spider-Man was great, Thor was not so great. Black Widow wasn't a good start either. So there was a lot going on for this movie. Exactly what Chris said. Ryan Coogler had so much pressure, and his team and everyone. And I just thought that opening scene was just amazing. I did start to shed a little bit of a tear. It started to get a little bit emotional for me in that first scene, and I thought that was just very well done. I had issues with the pacing of this movie. This movie really got to me with that pacing. Some of it was just flowing, and then it got boring in some scenes, and then it got to the action scenes, but then the action scenes were cut short, which kind of got to me, and I kind of left that a little bit wondering, well, hang on, guys, we want to see more of this. I have so much more I want to say, but overall, I did enjoy the movie, but there were certain aspects which I just couldn't get. And same with Namor. I liked Namor as a character, but I think his motivation didn't match his plans and the action throughout the film. And I think that comes down to the writing that Marvel gave. So I want a little bit more from Namor, but we'll discuss more on
Billy.
that.
Yeah. Billy, tell me your thoughts.
I can see what Joe was saying about it being a little bit long in parts. I mean, there's only so many times you can watch funerals in a movie. I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, they're killing everybody.
A lot of death in this one, man. Namor's mother.
Yeah.
Almost lost M'Baku at one point.
When he got flushed, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We had like 3 funerals and a whole bunch of like people mourning people in the streets.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Just anything that doesn't have bodies. Please.
Yeah. Less funerals, more fighting.
We have segments where we talked about what worked and what didn't work. But can we look at the reception real quick? Let's take a look at this reception.
Keep me on my toes there, man.
Yeah, what do you think? I'm just gonna go and tell you. All right, now Joe, go ahead and play.
Put it in order.
Give you the wing.
You go.
Everything's set up for you. And we're gonna...
This is live, baby. This is live.
Sit down, Joe.
This is
Live, baby.
live.
All right,
I
so
love it.
we're
I love it.
reception. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Now we had previously had conversations about how the audience score and the tomato score often doesn't match up. This is one of the situations where everybody, or at least the majority of people, seem to be giving this very high praise, and for good reason. This movie is also, it is officially the biggest grossing movie in like November. Like it is topped all movie openings in November. Like it is topped what Black Adam has done in its first week. It's a Black.
Poor Rock.
He tried, man.
No, don't poor Rock.
I'll take him Black Panther. I can be Black Panther.
Oh, poor Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He's doing so badly right now.
Yeah.
Trying to dig DC out that hole, man.
Poor Dwayne Johnson and his millions and millions of dollars. Get out of here. Yes, I'm not crying over him. Also, the second highest MCU movie opening of the year, but out of all the Phase 4 movies, it is the only one that is certified fresh. So that is quite the achievement. Quite the achievement for Black Panther. I'm very excited, and I think that it's deserved.
Yeah.
But let's now that we've shown the reception, let's talk about what worked, and then let's talk about what didn't work. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Hold on.
Go ahead. Was that enough of a warning?
Yeah. What worked?
Great. Okay, so I'm gonna say what worked for me personally, number one, and we can all give our opinions on this. I felt like the heart and soul of this movie is Queen Ramonda. We started touching on it, but I'm not gonna run from it anymore. But I want to know your opinions on Angela Bassett, her role in this movie, because she as Queen, she's made a lot of decisions, some of them very popular, some might even be unpopular, like her scene with Okoye. So there was a lot of big moments here. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Ramonda? Because for me that worked.
She and this is not because I have this massive crush on Angela Bassett, but it's because she is really a fantastic actress, and she commanded every scene she stepped her foot in. The scene in the UN was, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Black Panther cartoon that they had. It was based off the 90s. Reginald Hardman
I did, with Desmond Hansu.
Yes, and that speech that T'Chaka gives in that book and in that series is similar to what she gives in this movie. And she was strong with it. She was she wasn't lying. And she was powerful with it. And the fact, I didn't know you could pull off gray and make it pop.
Yeah.
And the way they walked in that UN room and shut everything down. Yeah.
To its credit, I think with the exception of maybe the very high poppy colors of like Guardians of the Galaxy and the some of the Thor movies, the Black Panther movies, super colorful, and so you have all these vibrant colors. Having that shade of gray come in really gives a contrast. Really, just like you said, it popped.
Yeah,
it really stands out among all the color that's there.
The costume design that Ruth E. Carter, I'm gonna put full respect on her name. Give her award right now. Just give her other Oscar right now, because that was they were beautiful. The pieces were, there wasn't a dress, piece of armor, or just regular wear that seemed out of place, that looked wrong, that just looked beautiful. And there was a dress that I seen during the premiere, the actual purple carpet premiere that they did live, and I seen Queen Ramonda's dress, and I said, that is a gorgeous dress. It's just beautiful. And Angela Bassett's wearing it. I'm like, is the dress wearing her, or is she wearing the dress? Which one is it? Because either way, I can't lose. So it was just the setups were beautiful. The set pieces were beautiful. And I think I'm becoming that guy that, I like clothing. This matches with this.
Oh, you're becoming me.
This matches this. My wife will be proud. She was like, oh, I'm like, yes, I like these colors. It offsets everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely, like, there's a lot of meaning behind each suit, and then that cultural aspect of it as well. And to have that blend of that culture and the new modern technology and combined them together, it just had, great character design for it. And I just really did appreciate that, because a lot of times when you watch a movie, you don't really appreciate that side of things, like the costumes and so forth. We just too focus on all the action and stories and stuff like that. But this really brought that to a next level in this. So yeah, I dug it. Loved it.
What else works for you, Rick? I know that we talked about pacing, but we've spoke privately. I know you didn't dislike the movie. So,
No.
What parts stood out to you the most?
Yeah, look, I think the thing that stood out for me the most was obviously they felt the acting in this just felt 100 times level up from the first one. I think they just felt more as a unit, and because of the whole loss of T'Challa and all that, I think that came into play, and I think that worked. What I also kind of felt would have been a little bit better was introducing some more new characters. Like, we've seen a lot of new characters, and this is the first time we've seen these characters. So I wanted to kind of indulge a little bit more into these new characters. Now, just quote me wrong, I know the two side characters from Namor, I've forgotten their names. They came in. What was their names?
And Namora.
Yeah. I thought they were fantastic. I really wanted to see more of those guys. I wanted to be heavily more invested in those, because I was more heavily invested in certain characters. But those guys I wanted to see more, because I just thought they brought a lot more to the storyline, which was great to see. So, yeah.
Billy, what was some a standout part of this movie for you?
Well, I liked the scenes where Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright got to have more of the family dynamic. I liked, guess as weird as it is considering my previous statement, the family coping. I mean, it was actually nice to see like the comforting and actually giving it like the world had weight to it. As much as I might have said that it could have used less of it, it still was nice the parts where it was there. It was more of an overabundance, not something that should be removed, just toned down a bit.
Right. And Joe, what worked for you?
You want to know what worked for me? Angela Bassett.
It does.
Of course.
Oh my God. She killed it in this movie. The emotion that she gave and she elicited from the very beginning, when it dealt with the passing of her son, when it dealt with the struggles that her daughter was facing, when it dealt with the, personal felt betrayal from Okoye, I ate up every second of it. And I was so excited to see her. And then they effed up. But we'll get into that section in the other section of the show. But Angela Bassett just killed it for me. And what worked for me in other regions of this film was how they played the underwater scenes. Because I always thought it was kind of silly the way they did some underwater scenes in the other movies throughout the years. But this one worked because they said, yeah. What happened was Black Panther has the heart-shaped fruit, and we got, the stone that fell off the pyramid, and we ate that, and we can breathe underwater. We got gills. I'm like, oh, okay, that works for me. And they came up with a lot of cool stuff that I felt just worked. I love it. And
I gotta say, tying the histories together through vibranium was very smart. I thought very cool. As a Puerto Rican, Latin American, our ties to African culture is undeniable, and so seeing seeing how they managed to tie some Mesoamerican culture, they never the influences in Namor's costumes were both Aztec and Mayan in nature, but the seeing the ties, the tied history between Wakanda and I'm sorry, what was it? Because you guys were saying it just great. It's not Atlantis. What did they have? It was
Talokan.
Talokan.
Oh, thank you.
Talokan. Yeah.
Seeing that tied that uniting history, I thought really, really was unique, and I'm not sure if it's spoken about enough on Twitter and Instagram, and but I thought that was really cool how these elements were tied together, that how related the cultures were. And so I echo what you were saying, Joe, about how that worked for me as well.
Yeah.
That said, let's move on to some things that didn't work. I can gush about this movie, but it wasn't perfect for me. So I want to talk about some things that didn't work, if we could. Okay. For me personally, there's very few things, I swear, very few things. But Riri, nothing against the actress. Nothing. Nope. I have nothing against the actress. I thought she did a good job at what she was supposed to be doing. And love the fact that we got a new character. But I'm not sure if this was maybe the right place for it, because the scenes I felt took away. It was really taken. Someone else put it best, so I'm stealing their phrase. But anytime we left Wakanda and went into what was happening in the United States, it took away from the momentum of the film for me personally. I think if you could have replaced her with literally any scientist, it could have even been another young black lady like Luna Lafayette, the Moon Girl. It really doesn't matter who you had in that spot. I felt like Riri's role was not as it was both important, but I also felt like it could have been anybody. I didn't feel like a lot of story, or I just didn't think it was executed at its best. I felt it took away from the film more than it added. How do you gentlemen feel about Riri, and what didn't work for you guys? Chris, you can start us off.
Riri, I thought it was a nice addition. I think it was more of a teaser. It's more of a teaser because I understand she's getting a show, so they didn't want to give too much away. I get that. As far as the writing, given the purpose of what's happened, I let that go. What I didn't like, because it's very, very, very few. I don't know. Besides the soundtrack, I love the soundtrack. Don't get me wrong.
What? I like that part.
I love the soundtrack. It's just we were spoiled with the Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I like the soundtrack. It's just not Kendrick, the Kendrick Lamar led version. It was just, that's why it was like a 9 out of 10. But
what's really funny, you bring up the soundtrack. You brought up the soundtrack, and I remember seeing on the Daily Show Trevor Noah talking about Rihanna's coming back, and I felt like everybody was expecting a bop.
Yeah.
And I was
We
like,
got
no, we talking about this is gonna be a sad movie. It's not gonna be Rihanna. This isn't Umbrella. This is
yeah. I mean, one thing we can say is Wakanda brought Rihanna out of retirement. We can say that. We got to her before we got to her before the Super Bowl did. So it was like Super Bowl announced she was coming back. Wakanda said no, she's already back. She's gonna come back. But it's not really much that I disliked about the film. The pacing, I'm trying to think. There was a moment where I think the most probably dislike is losing Ramonda. And then I mean that in the sense of wasn't expecting it. You know, it was just like we just barely we're able to deal with T'Challa's, and then you just hit us. You know, and then almost lose, like I said earlier, almost losing M'Baku. And then I'm just like, let's dial it back. Like, just a little bit. Just a little bit. We gotta breathe. We can't breathe. I got war paint on. I couldn't shed tears. I fought tears because I'm like, I don't want my makeup to run, you know. And it was just one of those moments, you know, and it was just one of those moments. But other than that, like, it was really not much I disliked, and I get the pacing part of it. It was 2 hours 41 minutes, but I was fine. You know, I didn't like pick it apart. There was nothing for me to pick apart, you know, to say like, oh, I hated this part. I hated this part. I would have loved, you know, seeing that Okoye was facing off with Atuma. I would have loved one or two things. I would have loved the team up of Dora against Atuma, or M'Baku against Atuma.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So it's less of a dislike and more of a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I'm like, I like that. I like Okoye was getting in it, but I would have loved to see how it fared if it was M'Baku, you know, getting his hands on, like, you know, he helps her out, you know.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm taking him down, because you notice Namor broke that staff, and he had a look of, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like
it got real.
I would have loved to see him get more physically involved, because M'Baku was stealing the show on his own, just with the lines he was saying. Winston Duke, amazing actor, and very funny, you know. And I don't even think he knows how funny he is.
I will say this: he's been the only one to disrespect Dora and live. Let's just put it that way.
You bald-headed witch.
Anyone else has tried that, they have paid for it with lives or an ass whooping. It's one of those two, and he managed to walk away with neither. You know, so
yeah.
All right, we were talking about costumes, and I know Rick, I believe you had an issue with, you know, especially since we're talking about Okoye, you weren't too thrilled with the Midnight Angels outfit, if I am correct.
The Midnight Angels outfit?
Yes, the Midnight Angels armor. You weren't a fan of that, I believe.
Yeah, look, very close. Look, there wasn't much to draw from the comics, as you guys know. There wasn't much, and greatly so, because this movie was going in that direction. They couldn't do that, so they had to go in the direction they were going in. I just felt that it just kind of looked very. How can I put it? It just wasn't. It just didn't do it for me. I just didn't like it for whatever reason. I just felt it lacked.
Rick sides with Okoye. Rick sides with Okoye.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
ugly.
It's right. Okoye didn't like it either. You don't have to feel
bad. I don't want to be disrespectful, but yeah, it just didn't. It just didn't do it for me. In comparison to all the other designs of the outfits and wardrobes, was great. But
it was too blue
to me. It kind of reminded me of Blue Beetle. It just had that coming to it as well, and it kind of distracted me from actually focusing more onto that as a character. So but don't get me wrong. It's just
I'm sorry,
But, yeah.
Rick. I didn't mean to put you on.
No,
Well,
no,
I did mean to put you on the spot. But it was the what didn't work segment, and I know that it
yeah,
personally
I got a
didn't
lot
work
of
for
other
you.
stuff that didn't work for this, like the introduction of Ironheart was just terrible. I just think it was an absolute waste of time. The actual suit itself was just really badly designed. I didn't like it.
Did anybody else
she's
feel
gonna
like
get
it looked like a Power Ranger? Because that's been going around the internet a lot. Did you guys see
I
that?
have heard someone say, has it gone around the internet, Joe?
Yeah.
Has it?
If I saw it,
But
it's definitely.
I will say out of all the Marvel Legends female characters that they have, she's the only one that stands up with no problem. I can honestly say there's no problem posing her because she doesn't fall over. She doesn't have small feet.
I just think it's poor writing, and it comes back to that waiting.
Rick, let me ask you a question. Would you have enjoyed Ironheart's debut if it happened in a future production in the same way that we were teased War Machine way back in that first Iron Man movie, but we didn't actually get War Machine until the second one? Do you think that would have been a better strategy?
I think it would. I think it like I said, it comes down to the writing of this character. All right. So Marvel come in. She's the only person in this whole world that can design that machine that creates this whole storyline. You know what I mean? Like, she's the only one. She comes from MIT. I know she's a genius and all the rest of it, but I think they put too much involvement into her as a character. We know we're going to see her eventually down the track, and we all get that. I think if they just maybe a snippet of her saying, look, there was someone who created this machine in MIT, and they kind of left it at that. And then we get to see more of her storyline because we all kind of know her backstory now. They put too much in it in this movie. So what are we going to see when the actual show comes out? Ironheart. You know what I mean? So it was just that side of things.
Make it sort of like Tony Stark coming in at the end of Incredible Hulk. Like you know,
right?
Correct.
You know, you hear about this person throughout the film, but you don't understand it. Then at the end,
and then it will lead on. Correct. Yeah, I think that would have worked better.
I understand, and I'm inclined to agree. I just didn't want to keep repeating myself because I have already said my Joe, what wasn't working for you aside from Queen Ramonda? I know that you missed her.
I just why? You know, like, come on.
I've never seen 64 look that good. I'm sorry.
She's 64. She's my mom's age. No way. She's not my mom's age.
She has put women.
Your mom's watching. You better watch your mouth, Joe.
No, just put that photo back up, Joe. Just put that photo back up, Joe.
Yeah, hold up.
That's 64.
That's 64.
Wow. That is.
I need to call her up and get her seat.
Anyway.
Because this is 41, but I just hope
43.
It's terrible.
You know,
yes, she puts us all to shame, gentlemen.
The other thing that didn't work for me is, aside from the Blue Angel, which it didn't work for me either. It was two blue, one color. But where did they suddenly get a submarine that was also
the war.
Yeah, it was like, wait, where did that come from? You know what I mean? Just like, oh, by the way, since we're dealing with some people underwater, we got a submarine that's also a warship. We're good.
I want to see the warship actually do more war stuff. I'm just
like just out of nowhere, and then it's blown up. Sorry. And it was powerful. Like, it handled some really cool aspects of the film, but it just kind of was like a MacGuffin to me. Like, it was just
like were the rest of the Wakanda army hidden inside? I need to know because
there was nothing inside. No, we just got like 20 people. We're good, right? It's like, you're gonna need more than that, you know. And the other thing that didn't work for me was the end credit scene that people love, but I didn't do nothing for me. I was like, really?
That is gonna cause some debate.
Oh, okay.
Why didn't it work for you?
That was like, I saw that coming a mile away, so it was like,
that a bad thing?
Yeah. Yes, it was like,
I don't want to see it coming.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, we really didn't need that. Like, I know there's this hope and, you know, everything will work out and things will happen, but this is Shuri's time. She's shining. I think she's so charismatic. I really love her option and her chance at being Black Panther and everything that comes with it, because she's the smartest person on the planet. So, you know, she should trump Riri, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards. That's how it was in the comics. So, you know, that being said, having okay, good news, guys. We've got a future Black Panther waiting in the wings, baby. You know, it's like, really, that's how you're gonna set it up? Like, just give us like 10 more years. We can recast him. Got a whole new. He'll be Rachalo. You know what I mean? Like
Rachalo.
Rachalo.
Yeah, it was like, why, man? Let's Shuri have her time, and we could do. They could have done that later on. Oh, by the way, you know, you have a nephew. He's pretty cool. He's doing his thing.
Hey, look, just because there's a baby T'Challa out there doesn't mean he actually gets to be the Black Panther. Mbaku's waiting, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mbaku looks like he's ready.
He's like, give me the
M'Baku's gonna get had. I'm telling you, he's gonna get had.
All right,
I mean, he's eating beef jerky. He's pressing.
Yeah.
There's only so long we could talk about what didn't work when we, you know, so Billy, give us your thoughts on what didn't work for you, even though you already kind of gave us. You cheated and told us what didn't work for you already. But go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm going to throw in something different because, like, as much as Joe mentioned, like that end credit scene, I consider that more of a mid credit. The thing that got me was the fact that there really wasn't an end credit. You got the Black Panther will return at the end. What the hell was that? You know, you sit through the end credits. Can I at least get like a Bruce Campbell stops smacking himself in the face? What the hell?
So you're upset that you sat through the credits. You know what? I'm upset too. I'm upset too. I did sit through the end, and all I got was someone telling me the movie's over. Please pick up your trash
and leave
and take it to the nearest receptacle. That was my ending. All right. So let us move on. I believe we have to talk about some themes, but you know what? I gotta be honest. I'm ready to run through the themes thing because I want to get into the free for all. So let's talk about the themes really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a lot to go on here. Which is hard for me because I do want to rush past it and get into the free for all. Let's talk about Shuri and her, I guess, acceptance as the chief, and also it looks like she could be having a bit of a battle looking for the role of queen as M'Baku gets ready to step up. But for her, her particular theme seems to be moving on while all this grief is going on. How did that hit you all as an audience watching an MCU fan? I feel like this is unfamiliar territory for MCU fans. Not too unfamiliar. We've shed some tears, but
I mean, I love you
for the most part. It's not really what we do in MCU, and MCU is not so heavy.
Yeah.
Joe, you want to start? You want to, Chris? Chris, go ahead.
Okay. I felt
Wait, hold
like...
on. Is that the dog that was barking in the beginning?
That was the dog that was. I had to grab him so he'd stop barking.
I think because, as you know, I'm a fan of the comics, always have been, and finding that Shuri is finally accepting her role, coming into her own, I was fine. The beach scene is very reminiscent of the beach scene that she fought Namor on. Only difference is she lost that battle. This time she had a whole fish fry on the beach. So I think the themes of her coming to terms, you know, having the parallels like what between her and Namor, and they discussing it like they're actually negotiating. They're doing royal politics. And they're negotiating and very close to coming to some kind of agreement. And her realizing that there are certain things that she has to do, must do. She has to find her balance, because when she sees her cousin, she's, you know, reluctantly siding with him. But then she realizes, you know, as he said, you like, your cousin was noble. The fact that he even said that is a lot, you know. But he said your cousin was noble, but you need to get stuff done. So which one are you going to be?
Yeah.
And she's finding her balance of being right down the center, of being the one, I need to get stuff done, and at the same time be noble enough to handle that type of the business. So I'm with it. I'm with it.
Cool.
So I felt like
Gentlemen?
they handled the theme of death very well. This was a really big thank you to Chadwick Boseman, because we lost him in reality. And I think they handled it extremely well. Ryan Coogler really put his mark on remembering and loving the life of Chadwick. I also felt they took the theme of vengeance pretty well, because they toyed with, hey, you know, you could be an anti-hero like Namor. You know, Namor came up and he saw what the conquistadors were doing to the indigenous people of South America, and he was like, I'm not having that. And then he went to town. And that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, other than, you know, Angela Bassett doing her thing. If you haven't noticed that recurring theme there, you know, it's just Angela Bassett forever. But I just felt like they really did such a good job with some of these underlined issues that Shuri was having to come through. Failure. She couldn't save her brother. She's the most brilliant person in the world, but she couldn't solve the mystery of the DNA strands to save T'Challa. And that hits home for me, because that's one of the biggest issues in my family tree. So, you know, for me, I wish I could find a cure for certain things that we wouldn't have to deal with. And, you know, I could also enjoy more pastries, because if I could, I wouldn't get big diabetes, because there's no cure for that either. So, you know, I have to watch myself. And there's those things. I was like, you know, I'm a smart guy, but how come I can't figure out the code? And I get it. And I think they did it such a great job. And it was really cool to see Killmonger pop up. I wasn't expecting that. You guys might have seen stuff that leaked and knew it was coming, but I didn't. I kind of stayed away from the internet somehow. And it's probably because I was walking this dog that's driving me crazy. But
Oh no, I put a whole PSA out. I'm like,
you put a PSA?
You tried. I will. You are dead to me.
Yeah.
I will cut you off. And I'm like,
cut you off forever. But having Killmonger come back and pose the question of, are you going to get it done? Awesome.
I did have one hang up. I did have one hang up. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. There's no way on God's green earth, or Bast's green earth, that you can bug a Kamoyo bead. I don't see how you did that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Lazy writing.
I'm like, you let the Contessa get away with that? No, come on.
Yeah.
Who does she know that could do that?
Yeah, exactly.
And when did she do it?
Well, I'm glad
to do it.
It doesn't matter. It was conveniently under that door and left there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just left under the debris. Don't ask questions about how the spies of the United States. That said, I'm glad you brought her up, because I do feel like, I'm not sure how well it connected, because I don't see a lot of discussion on it online, but I do feel like the theme of leadership and what it takes to be a leader was a big part, because the movie, aside from the moment of silence, which is a hard thing to aside, because how do you just aside that? That was just an epic moment. The silence was deafening. But I feel like as the plot began and the story began for us, it began with Ramonda addressing multiple countries and what I assume was supposed to be a parallel of the United Nations.
Yeah.
And we see Ramonda dealing with the struggles of leadership, as well as the other nations making choices in the name of, leading their countries and trying to acquire this precious metal. Contessa Fontaine also doing her best as leader to manipulate situations into her best circumstance. Shuri now going to be struggling with her issues as leader. Namor struggling with, leading an entire civilization who has been hidden all this time and needs to remain hidden. I feel like leadership and all the different figureheads that we've seen, even Okoye to an extent, she was the leader of the Dora Milaje, and she paid prices for the choices she made as leader. I feel like leadership was such a big thematic presence in World of Wakanda, and I'm not sure if that translated as well for everybody else, but it definitely did for me.
Yeah.
Joey, what's your dog doing?
Say again.
What is your dog doing?
He's like a parrot.
Is he alive?
No, he's well alive. Say hi,
Okay.
Teddy.
Just checking.
Hey, he's well alive,
Okay.
but he loves to
The
sit on my
dog is
shoulders
fine.
for some reason. I don't know why. Ever since he was a puppy, that's been his thing.
Okay, is there anything else thematically that stood out for you, Billy or Rick?
No, you guys pretty much summed it
It's
up.
fine if
Yeah,
it's
just
no.
stage
It's
the
fine.
There's
There's a lot of grief.
We'll go on the free for all. It's all good.
All right, so then let's get to this free for all. All right, so here's a big topic. Here's a big topic that I feel needs to be talked about because it's mentioned in the comments by Robert Mara. Namor was a decent anti-hero and not a villain. All right, so how do we feel about Namor? Like we feel positive
I love
about him as an antagonist. Because whether you call him a bad guy, if you don't see him as a villain, fine. I don't care what you call him. He was the antagonist of the film.
Yeah.
So did he do the job? Are we happy with him as the antagonist?
I am.
Yeah.
Same.
I am
Tell me
completely
more, Chris.
happy with it. I'm completely happy. He's not going to be the villain until Sue Richards walks into the room. That's all I'm saying.
Here he comes, Mr. Studio Girl.
Then we will know. But what he was stating, I understood. He says, the minute you opened your borders to the world, that put eyes on us. You may not, no one knew about us, but because they know about your vibranium and they can't come into your borders, but they can go around your borders, they are finding our vibranium, therefore putting eyes on us. And that's creating a whole nother problem. And we can't have that. We've been living in peace all this time. We need to keep it that way, which is why some people were saying, well, why didn't he attack that UN? He was like, he's trying to be under
the radar.
He does not want to be seen. If
Right.
anybody knew about anything, it was Nick Fury, and he kept his mouth shut. He didn't trust the government.
Mhm.
So, I understood his battle. I understood his reasoning. He could be a little brash about a couple of the things. He was like, no, we need to kill the scientists. I don't think that would have been the solving of your problem.
No, because they would have got somebody else.
It would have been somebody else,
Yeah.
coming down the pipe. But like I said, when him and Shuri were talking and pretty much negotiating, you could tell that at some point he was going to come around. There wasn't any anger until, Queen Ramonda pretty much demoted and fired Okoye, which was the most hurtful scene, because seeing what Ramonda was talking about, I understood, but seeing what Okoye was trying to accomplish, I also understood. So it was like there was no other way.
And I think when Nakia showed up,
that
ruined it for them. He was like,
when
what are you doing?
Because she brought Nakia, because she said the Royal Guard couldn't get it done. I need a war dog to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
And the war dog's mission is to do one thing, the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And she and nothing else mattered. She went in, she got Shuri, she got Riri. If there's bodies in the wake, there's bodies in the wake. The mission I was tasked with has been completed.
Yep. That's it.
Rick, no more thoughts?
It just Yeah, it's the whole Namor thing, like I said before, and that comes down. I just felt like there was no, like the motivation didn't match his plans and action throughout the film. And again, that comes down to how flat the writing is when Marvel writes for their developing their villains, I guess. I just felt like it was a mere excuse for the characters to clash. That was it. You know what I mean? There was nothing really weight into this story besides obviously the death of T'Challa. There was no weight to it. I just felt like Namor's story just lacked clarity for me.
Do you feel that he rushed to his siege on Wakanda was rushed? Like you didn't see how he reached that point so quick?
Well, yeah, in a way.
Billy says yes to that. I see you nodding. You're gonna have to speak on that, Billy, because not everybody can see you.
Do you agree on that?
I'm waiting my turn.
No, go. Do you
I
agree?
just asked you.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's your turn.
what I was going to say is that I thought, like, at one part, it looked like they were trying to frame Wakanda at, like, parts, like, with the scientists and all that. They made it look like, the government's going to invade Wakanda because they think that they were protecting the vibranium. And then they just kind of completely abandoned that subplot just to go to Telecom.
Interesting.
I hear that.
Did you hear me?
That.
Yeah, well, we got you.
Yeah.
You're fading in and out, but I got you. No, but
That was weird. Like, Telecom,
I hear what you're saying.
we're going to frame Wakanda, but then we're going to attack Wakanda.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I think my only struggle with Namor was that I didn't find. I feel that because we had these shades of gray, sometimes in movies like this, especially when we dealt with so much loss, whether it be with the real life loss of Chadwick Boseman or the character loss of Queen Ramonda. I want to cheer a hero and I want to boo a villain, and I found myself in the end not really like I'm rooting for Wakanda, but I'm not exactly jeering, I'm not exactly shouting out of anger to Namor, so even though I like these shades of gray in these, especially in these big final epic moments, I need somebody to boo. And I didn't feel like I had that personally. Like, good story. I very like I was invested emotionally, but man, I wish I found myself actually saying I want this person to win instead of saying, "Can't you all just get along?" Just that's where I'm at. Joe, how did you feel about Namor?
Like I said, Namor was the mirror for Wakanda. The Telecons were like Wakanda, and I thought it worked. The only thing that bugged me about the whole thing was them tricking him in order to defeat him. It wasn't a straight up throwdown, but I guess when you had to use one up because everything was pretty much balanced. But they did mention that he had the strength of the Hulk, and I didn't really get. I was like, nah, I think they're going to tone him down.
He's just strong. Yeah.
He's strong. He's going to be like Captain America. He's not going to be no big. And then he punched M'Baku. And it was like, oh, maybe he does have the strength of the Hulk. Because in the comics, Namor and Hulk could go toe to toe. The only thing that helped Namor with the Hulk was being underwater. And, the Hulk just keeps getting madder. But, I digress.
There's no limit to his anger.
There's
his
no
anger
limit
just reaches Goku levels.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
But I really dug
Goku
the design.
levels.
Yeah, Goku level. I really dug the design. I just want to bring this picture back up. Are any of you guys a fan of Tekken?
Yeah.
Game Tekken 3?
The game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game.
Yeah.
Does he not, with this headpiece, remind you of the main villain?
You about to compare him to King? What do you compare?
No, not King. The fighting god in
yeah.
Tekken 3.
From Tekken.
Yeah.
If you had a photo, we could compare the two. But I do see it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a kind of neat touch. It was like, oh yeah, not only is he, super strong, but he's also a badass fighter. So much so that we're almost like Ogre. That was his name. Ogre in Tekken 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Okay.
fighting,
I was like, are you about to compare this to Hayachi's hair? Like, what
No,
is-
no. Because they had like the head very close.
Very close design.
Yeah, it's very close design. I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on. But go ahead, Rick. What were you gonna
Alright.
say?
so just speaking of fighting, this may be, but Shuri, did she have any training in fighting at all?
So
Or-
this is my I've
'Cause I
had
just
this
had a
question
feeling.
asked. I've had this question.
Yeah.
asked. So Shuri does have training in fighting. However, she is not proclively to do fighting. In the first film, when M'Baku makes the challenge for the throne, she's ready to battle M'Baku. What people don't they don't notice is when he makes that threat towards her,
Yeah.
they're pointing their spears at him on the lower level. The other ones are holding her back. So it shows that she has a bit of a temper. Ramonda also has a level of a fighting ability. So to say, people were wondering if she had any training, you would think that her father, who obviously has training, has trained her son and probably has trained his sister in secret, or she's learned in secret, or the father trained her or had her trained. I'm sorry, had her trained, because it's, why would you not want them to be able to protect themselves, even though you should be protecting them? Why wouldn't you want them to be able to defend themselves? Like, she's knowledgeable in the fight, so she has some fighting skill. She's just more or less inclined to go towards the sciencey side of things.
Correct. Yeah, that's how I felt in the first one, and she's always hiding behind the tech. But then when she comes out here, she puts a suit on and she's kicking ass, and it's just like, well, hang on, where did this come from?
She's pissed. She's pissed.
Yeah,
Never underestimate an angry woman.
You done killed my mama, and my mama is Angela Bassett.
Right.
So it is not cool.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring up the ogre.
I brought up. No. Thank you for showing us ogre. We get it. And you know what? To be fair, I see the comparison.
See?
Thank you.
Cool.
But I brought up Namor not just, because he's a fun conversation piece, but there's another fun conversation piece going on, and that is Killmonger versus Namor. Who's the better antagonist? For me, it's because of the reasons I said what I look for in an antagonist and needing somebody to cheer, needing somebody to boo. Killmonger for me is the better antagonist.
Wholeheartedly
but I'm
agree.
still interested in hearing what people say about that, because there's people who, even though he very much shot his girlfriend in the head with like no hesitation, there's people who don't really see Killmonger as a bad guy. So so I'm interested in hearing the comparison.
Why do they need therapists?
Nah, man. Look. I get it. I understand why. There's a lot to embrace about Eric Killmonger. I just don't agree with the idea that he's not a villain. To me, he's very clearly a villain. But that doesn't mean that he's everybody's preferred protagonist. So, antagonist. So, Chris, Namor, and Killmonger.
I'm gonna say Killmonger, and because he's more upfront with it. He's very his motive. If you paid attention, the motive in the first film, their motives between what he was saying, what Shuri was saying, what Nakia was saying, were the same motives. It's just they had different paths of getting there. So Killmonger's path was just like, cut them all down. I don't care who's in the way. We'll separate the rest later. Let's just get it done. That was his MO. So when he started really just like, we're gonna go and tear up everything, and we're gonna run everything, that was starting to come out of straight anger. It stopped being about rectifying things. It became the villain role quickly. Namor is becoming more. He's kind of the anti-hero. If you paid attention to the what he says at the end, it's almost like we'll side with them now because they're going to need us. And it's like, and they're going to turn to us. And it's either in the way he said it is like, we can help them, we cannot help them.
Right.
It all depends. It all depends.
Rick, Killmonger, Namor. Who's your preferred villain here?
No,
I think I already know the answer. I think we're all pretty much in
Kill-
agreement here, but it's
Killmonger,
more of a
yeah. I just don't see how anyone could think that Namor is. I just felt him a bit weak. To be honest with you, I think he's weak as a villain. When we had Killmonger on the first set, it was just like he was just set in his ways. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and nothing was going to get in his way. And he'd kill whoever he needed to kill to succeed and to get to be head of Wakanda. So I just felt like
Ross said it at the beginning. Ross said it.
Yeah.
He said he is built and designed to destabilize governments, burn them to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, and look at him. He's got it all over his body. He's marking every person that he kills, you know? And then what really has Namor really done in that? And then going into what Chris said at that last bit and how he mentioned that it could go both ways. He could turn on Wakanda. We don't know. The way he said it was that stylish way. Like he goes, I've got something planned in the back. He could show his true colors in the next movie. We don't know. But yeah, no, it's Killmonger all the way for me, mate.
We still just wait till Sue Richards shows up. That will settle the deal. They're like, I knew it now. Mr. Steal Your Girl is
Do you want me to throw?
Joe, I imagine you feel similarly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Billy, we're all in agreement on this. Then Killmonger's the.
Although now I'm partially just waiting for like the Fantastic Four because I want to.
I want to see how this plays out.
He's gonna start dancing.
The man didn't care whether this was before they were married and after. And he still didn't care. I'm like, man, you have no boundaries, do you?
Word. He was like, oh, you married? That's nice. So I'm Namor. And I have a kingdom.
He ignores you? Guess what? I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
The government can try to steal your identity. Namor will steal your blood women.
Oh, no. So look, it has been over an hour. So I want to ask one more question before we get into our final glance. And it's probably the biggest question that's been like going on ever since Chadwick Boseman's passing. And that is, was recasting or choosing not to recast T'Challa the best move? We saw what was chosen for the mid-credit scene. Personally, I was not on the recast T'Challa side of the debate. I understood why people did want to recast. And the cast and crew had their own feelings about it. But now that it's happened, the movie has happened already. There's no going back from the decisions that were made. Do we feel that the choices that were made were the positive choices? Chris? No,
Joe.
No, I'm not talking about the whole cast. I'm just talking about this one question, Joe.
I wanted to.
I asked Chris the question, and you just went.
Oh man,
just canceled him out, Chris. Go
I
ahead.
was one of the ones that I said I wouldn't mind a recast, just not now, knowing how Hollywood works. I wouldn't want them to. I'm like, you would have gotten a much worse. You would have gotten a worse movie.
They would have got Brad Pitt.
It would have been a mess. It would have been a mess. So, but knowing what I've seen now, I'm just like, if you choose to recast later on down the line, that's okay, because I understand from the comic book standpoint and from the moving the story forward standpoint, I'm okay. I was always okay with Shuri taking the role. I just, I think she was always going to take the role, just not as soon as it was expected, so it's just like, okay, we're here now. It's the role. It's literally the line from Iron Man 2 when you get Don Cheadle in there and he says, I'm here, deal with it. So it's just like, I'm completely okay. They do it down the line, which we always know. They years go by and they recast and they give you a new Superman. They give you a new Batman. They give you
Batman.
So I think it's fine. It's fine. Let it go. Let it progress. The MCU has given us some quality stuff. It's been over 10 years. Let's get it go. Let's let it go.
I think a lot of the fear that came from it, and there's a lot of reasons. that people have had objections. But I think the difference when comparing, let's say, Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, is that recasting was easy because the franchise wasn't all tied in together. And with the MCU seemingly having no end, like we still have X-Men to go, and we still have Fantastic Four to go, and like
Deadpool 3.
yes, Deadpool. But but like we have all these things to look forward to, and it seems like the MCU doesn't end. I think a lot of people feared that we may not get like the next Black Panther movie. There won't be. So I understood why. And there's a lot of reasons why, but I understood some of the reasons why, that there was fears of not having T'Challa recast. But I also, like you, Chris, as someone who read the comics, I was looking forward to Shuri getting it. And knowing what we've seen with a new young T'Challa waiting in the background, we know that we will, even if it's not the T'Challa you thought you knew, we're still getting a T'Challa in the
Somewhere
future
down the
who will
line.
have stories of his own.
In 8 years, because they're going to
Yeah.
time jump. Yep.
It's fine. And it's,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and if there's one thing that I know about the MCU, and trust in Feige, just trust in Feige.
Yeah. I don't know if that's always so safe. I don't know. I saw what he looked like.
Let's put it like this.
I didn't. Yeah.
Well, let's put it like this. It's much, much better than what we've been getting from the DCEU.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I want DCEU to succeed highly. It's just quit giving us these misses and give us the hits. You know, stop second guessing.
We want another Dark Knight Returns.
Well, they got James Gunn, so I'm sure they'll come up with some good stuff.
Yeah, I think their world's about
yes.
Just leave it in his hands. It'll be fine. You know.
Yeah.
Rick, where were you on the recast T'Challa debate? Did you?
Yeah, look,
I
didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was the right move. I'm just glad it's how they handled it. We've all seen recasting throughout every MCU. There's always a recast. For whatever reason, they don't get along well with the actors or whatever. That's fine. I think because of the situation, yes, they had to go down this path. And I'm glad they didn't do like a Fast and the Furious type scenario where, you know, that scene when you see he's go, oh, do you want to sit near your brother when he's dying, and then do you know what I mean? I'm glad they went down that path. They handled it really, really well. That's what But the whole recasting, I don't have an issue. If they recast him way, way, way down the track, I don't have an issue with it at all. But if I thought if they did recast it now, I always keep thinking in my mind, who would they have recast? Who could play that? It's a big mantle to take. You know what I mean? And maybe if they went down that path and said, okay, let's recast it. Let's go with, I don't know, whoever. Is that actor going to go, you know what? I'm going to say no because it's too big a shoes to fill.
Yeah.
You know, so they've done it. Perfect choice. They've done it right.
Yeah. Joe? I imagine you feel similarly. I'm still. He's like,
No. I think it's fine.
He's like, I'm here. I feel like you just try to Jedi mind wipe me.
They should recast him. No,
no.
And like I heard a rumor.
Go ahead.
At one point that they were talking about having Killmonger take on the Black Panther mantle for this film.
Well, who's they?
The internet.
I've heard people talk that.
Yeah, see the internet.
Oh no, I've seen the rumors. I just hate the they. I want to know who the they is. I will at them.
The naysayers, the naysayers, the non-believers,
the Reddits, the Reddit said they were gonna do, and I was for it, but I really wanted Shuri to shine, and they did Shuri to shine, and I appreciated that, and it was something that Billy had brought up, believe it or not, even though I had the comic, the fact that Shuri does don the mantle of Black Panther because T'Challa was very sick, so. I thought this was perfect when they did that. Yes, you got to cast somebody else's Black Panther down the line because, you know, the actress that plays Shuri, she has her own special issues, Letitia, right? When it comes with regards to some of the reasons why They let certain people go in Star Wars. That's the whole anti-vax issue.
Mhm.
And
yeah, but I don't think they recast them for that.
No,
I
they're not
think
going to do it. They're not going to
he's
do
fine.
it. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if that would have gotten out of hand, I could have seen them go, you know what, let's go with, there's so many things you can do. And because the worlds are infinite, you can have a plethora of people don the mantle. But for now, I think this is the best path. Recasting at this juncture would have probably been not good for sales. And I think they would have been too many comparisons because Chadwick did such a good job. And you recast now, everybody's gonna be like, yeah, well, Chadwick really did that accent. Chadwick really did that fighting. And Chadwick, so I think they did the right move by not. Yeah, there's too much. It was too big of shoes to fill right away. It's like if they would have, recast Batman with like Ben Affleck, I thought it would have been horrible. Oh, you know what I mean? I think that's a perfect example of why that doesn't work. So give it
look,
time.
I was ready for James Bond Batman. But Billy, your thoughts on the mantle of Black Panther? Should he have been recast? Should T'Challa have been recast?
I'm torn. I actually think that they probably should have recast, because the reason why is I feel like it would be a chance for somebody else to honor him. I mean, you're trying to, it's big shoes to fill, but it's also like a nice challenge. I feel like a lot of people, like, the tough thing is you don't want like a fictional character that's existed for like so many years to basically get, like, was something that Chadwick Boseman had helped bring to life, to end with him. You want the story to continue. You want to go on, and you want to see somebody like maybe incorporate some of his performance and how to pay tribute and keep the story going for future generations.
And I'm glad you said it. I don't agree with it, but I would hate for us to be a big old. No, I hate for this to be an echo chamber. And the last two questions, we was all agreeing with each other on. So it's nice that somebody was like, "Nah, man, T'Challa should have still been here and lead." So I appreciate that, even though I don't agree. But all right. Let us jump into, because I don't want this to be a 3-hour movie. So let's jump into our final glance before we sign off.
Before we do that, do we want to throw to some comments? Because we got quite a bit.
Oh, no, it's an hour and 12, but I will shout out. Thank you, Kai B. Thank you, Mama Pombo. I see you back there.
Mm-hmm.
I know our buddy Jason is watching right now, and he's letting us know that he's feeling some Marvel fatigue, and that's a whole conversation on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But we have been running an hour plus, and I think it's time for us to give our final glance, guys.
All right, let's go. All right, baby.
Guys, you can take it away. I don't have any questions, so anyone can go ahead and jump in and just let us know your final thoughts before we sign off.
Well, here
who wants to do it? Come on, who's gonna?
I'm going for.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Hop right in there. Pombo forever. So I think that when you take a look at this film and you compare it to some of the other Marvel successes and failures, you know that this is leaning on the success side, because here we are talking about it 1 week later and it's still selling tickets as if it just came out. It's got legs. I think a lot of people are into it. I'm still mad that Miss Bassett isn't going to be in the next one.
There's that thing again.
Nuts. We can't live
Miss
without.
Bassett ain't even happy.
No, I don't think she is either. Like, she's like, "Why you cut me out? I got to just do 911 now."
Still highest paid actress on television.
Yeah, that's right. So I really think that it's going to be hard to see the next one without her and where they go, because now that we've got so much death, can we hopefully have a movie that's more uplifting? That was the mystique, the majesticness, of the first Black Panther. We have something new. We have something fresh. There's a lot of positivity. We already dealt with his father's passing in the first movie, in the Civil War movie, So we didn't have to deal with all that death. And then you had the characters like Big Eye, Little Eye, Forrest Whitaker that had to get axed because it moved the plot along. But all in all, it was uplifting, and it just felt like a whole people's got their character on the big screen, and people ate it up. And I think the hindrance was spending a lot of time on the passing. And I think that now that that's all taken care of, the next film should be a little bit more brighter and like not so much with the heavy death. And hopefully they don't kill anybody else. I mean, who's left? You gotta kill Okoye.
Don't ask the question.
Don't ask that question because they're gonna kill him. And that's what I felt. I did enjoy it. It could have been shorter. Some characters didn't need to be there, but
I would just said more. There's people that didn't need to be there. That's at least more funerals they can have for next movie. We have.
Oh God.
Oh God. I have the movies at funeral. All right,
Billy, Billy, you have any final thoughts that you want to add, or was that it?
Well, actually, I'm going to point out one thing that's just kind of bugged me. I'm like a missed opportunity that was from years ago, before the MCU. Seeing Angela Bassett with the white hair made me think about how back in the day, Wizard Magazine and Hero Illustrated used to always pitch her as their choice for Storm.
Yep.
And as the
Major missed
damn,
opportunity.
now that is the missed opportunity that we'll never get to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she.
Hey, maybe
she
we'll get
handled that
maybe
accent well, too.
maybe one day we could get a Days of Future Past Storm. Maybe she could be a Secret War Storm.
Yeah.
Maybe she could be the multiverse is wide and far reaching. Rick, final thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was good. It was all right. I had my issues, but I'm not going to go rush out and see it again. Like, I went and saw Endgame 3 times at the cinemas.
Really?
You know what I mean? I was that, yeah. 3 times I went to the cinemas and saw Endgame because I thought it was that great.
Rick's
This one
bladder is an amazing
Yes,
feat of strength.
yes. You know what I mean? Like when you're heavily invested in something, like I'm not gonna rush out and see this movie again. I know, Chris, you said you're gonna go see another viewing.
Oh yeah.
Seen it again.
But yeah, for me, it's just I'll wait till it comes out on streaming and probably watch it again then. But I'm not gonna rush out. But yeah.
I
There you
think
go.
my final thoughts on this, I'm hoping that in the next Black Panther film that we spend more time actually in Wakanda. I was one of the people that did not want to see Namor as the antagonist. I was happy with what we got once it was announced. No need to complain about it. This is what we're getting. Hey, but the Black Panther franchise has been around since the 60s. There is a wide world of history and characters and antagonists inside Wakanda that we could be looking at, and I'm kind of tired of seeing outside threats in Wakanda, and would like to see, especially after the decimation that Namor caused to the political structure and some of the actual very physical infrastructure. I would like to see how this all affects the people of Wakanda and what kind of political intrigue we see and how it affects the citizens of Wakanda. If the next Black Panther movie spends its entirety in Wakanda and we have just that with no random Avengers popping in or members of S.H.I.E.L.D. popping in, I will be completely fine with it because that's where I find the movie to be at its best. Chris, final thoughts?
I'm just glad that Everett Ross and Sherry gets to spend time with her favorite colonizer now. So it's been snatched out of government holding. This is gonna make some fun stuff because he is the only one outside of Bucky that is like, yeah, I know nothing. I'm backing Wakanda. I know nothing. You guys are crooked. I know nothing. And he denied. He took a page out of the man book. Deny. Even to his ex-wife, deny. Oh, I fucked the beads, and I'm like, what? No, that's still no. I don't even know what you're talking about. So he denied it to the very end. But once again, he's like, they saved my life. He knows where his allies are, and he's like, unfortunately, I work for a crooked regime right now, government, and I will back you to the end of the line. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do going forward. Like to see more of M'Baku. He does, even with the short amount of time he did get, he still stood out. He still stood out. From if it wasn't a funny line, it was showing his counsel to Shuri, which was very surprising. And when he gives his reason, it's even more intense. When he's like, I promised your brother that I will give you counsel and be basically that shoulder for you to, and even she was kind of taken aback by it. Like Shuri was kind of taken aback by it. He was like, you did what? Like, I was ready to fight you just a couple of years ago, So I like that, he's stepped into that role as counsel, big brother, whatever it is that she needs, and to do that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the council, now that the queen is gone, and seeing how that progresses. Because if you read any Black Panther comic, it always deals with dynamic shifts within their government, and how they move forward, and how they're dealing in a democracy with no king. They're dealing with things, even though he's still the emperor of the intergalactic nation of Wakanda. But so I'd like to see what they're going to go forward with that. And we've got our introduction, we've dealt with our grief. Let's start getting back. Let's get back on track now,
right,
and see where we go with it forward.
I'm with that 100%. Thank you, Chris, for those words, and thank you just for joining us here.
Oh, no problem.
At the Spectrum Sanctorum. Thank you, gentlemen, my usual panel, Joe, Rick, and Billy. Thank you all, of course, everyone who's been watching and commenting as we've been here live. If you're watching and you're not live and you're actually stuck around for the whole 1 hour and 20 minutes, just if you've been here this whole time, thank you. And if there's anything we did not touch on, feel free to let us know in the comments what you felt about the movie and what you wish we did talk about, and feel free to talk about it. I'll be here. I'll comment. I'll respond to you in the comment section. Like, share, all the buttons, and no matter what social media platform you're watching this on, all the buttons on the bottom is how you can keep following us. So hit the bell and the thumb and all that stuff. Thank you all for joining us. Subscribe. Is there anything else I gotta say? I don't think so. This has been Brandon Liu for the Spectrum Sanctorum, and we will be shedding light elsewhere. We will see you in the future. Bye, everybody.
Wakanda forever.